this is a pre-video video. So as I alluded to in my shorts, because you know I'm getting into the socials, not. I needed to do this like as soon as the iron struck. I saw this story a few days ago, and then today I saw it again, and I felt this sort of fire inside me the first time, but then the fire died a bit, and then this brought it back up because I'm already in the making a video mindset-ish. First one was colossal, but anyway. So this one is sort of part -1, but it really ties into what I wanted to talk about in this upcoming video. I'd said in the last one that it was going to be about borderline, and I sort of wanted to do that, but that's not sort of what was speaking to me. And then this story just blew it up for me, which is the specifically teens and TikTok, and that they're going online and finding these videos about sort of what could be the signs that you have either dissociative identity disorder or borderline personality disorder, or so a whole string of those seem to be the two main ones, or bipolar, sort of these very huge and somewhat rare. They say very rare, but I'm like, are they? So this is where it sort of got my blood boiling, and I thought I need to talk about this because it really struck me how tone deaf the media is, and some of the mental health professionals that they brought on to talk about it were, I thought, very adept and very in tune, and some of them just weren't. But I wanted to talk about these things off the top because they kind of lead into my own backstory, which I wanted to flesh out for you guys so you kind of understand how I got in the mess that I'm in. And my hope is not that you self-diagnose based on what I talk about, but that you can look to see, oh, you know, maybe that explains something, or maybe it clues you into trying to explore your own psychology a bit. And if you're stuck in some places, then maybe that can help. That's what I think the power of this stuff can be. Not self-diagnosis, and not, you know, looking to WebMD to figure out all the ills in your life, because I don't think that's going to work for anybody. But I do believe that there is it's not underserved. There aren't enough mental health resources. It's still stigmatized for adults. So you get this whole, okay, let me start sort of more from where we're at. So there's apparently this uptick in teens and mental health issues via TikTok and Instagram and Twitter and all of the socials. It's this uptick in kids that are finding this diagnosis or being steered to this direction. I don't know about you, and I don't know how old you are, but as an old fuck, I can tell you that has been there since time immemorial. It is not something unique to teens. It is not something, all of us that are adults have lived through the teens. What we did not have, and quite frankly, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know how many of us would have survived if we'd had social media. Oh my God. And yet, there's this kind of cool quality, I think, that comes from this, which is teens now have a place to go to say, oh, shit isn't right, but I don't know what it is. So they go to their community. They go to the only thing that they've been taught to do, the only thing that they know to do, which is go online. So let me back it up a bit. So newsflash is, teens and mental health aren't an uptick. They're just not. I don't think that you'd find a psychologist, psychiatrist, social worker, whatever on the planet who, with any merit, would say that teens and mental health are new. And how we get through that is what forms who we become. Now, I have notes because I realized from the last video, this bitch needs notes. So, what we have now are parents who either have no idea that they themselves have deep mental health struggles. I don't really think that there's a person on the planet that doesn't have an underlying, deep-rooted mental health issue. Some people can get through them faster, some people don't deal with them, and some people never get tripped up, but never means you've kicked that can down the road. And that's just not a way to go about it. So we've got parents who don't understand that they themselves are affected by mental health and therefore don't realize that they're fucking their kids up, which is inevitable, by the way. I don't have any kids, but I made sure that I didn't have any kids. These genes can stop here. But you've got parents who don't know that they're fucked up, so they're fucking their kids up without knowing it. And then you've got parents who do know that inevitably they're going to fuck their kids up. They went through some mental health issues as a teen or traumas, and they know by either recognizing the signs in their kids that that's what's happening, or are trying to put their horse before the cart so that they are intervening in the troubles that teens have so that they can make the most well-adapted kid possible. And that doesn't always mean that kid needs professional help, but I don't think that is too tough to conclude. But then we run into the problem where there aren't enough mental health providers to go around. So the stigma is still very much here for adults. So when adults see kids talking about mental health, I think that freaks most adults out because it's like, oh, we can't talk about these things. The smart ones are the ones that know we have to talk about these things. We can't be quiet anymore. It's coming on the television again. So 1.4% of the US adult population is estimated to have borderline personality disorder. I'm not American, but I fall into that category. Do I think it is as rare? I don't know about that. I could be wrong. I am not a mental health professional, and I know that there are very much clinical diagnoses that need to be made. But the problem is that you don't have enough mental health providers, you don't have enough interventions, and you don't have enough ways to help. So why wouldn't kids go to the one place they know they can go, which is online? So unless you've got a strategy to combat that, I have no idea what the fix is supposed to be. So, shit has to happen. And by the more of us talking about it, the more of us demanding it, the more the governments and the insurance providers and all of the peoples will actually start to fix the problem, which is we're fucked and there's got to be a better way to do this. So trauma is trauma. So they're also saying that this is, a lot of this is not only due to social media, but also due to the pandemic. No shit, Sherlock. So we're all traumatized by the pandemic. We're tired of it, yes, but we're still traumatized by it. And it doesn't matter how much you want to ignore it, it's still there. And trauma is trauma is trauma. Big, small, doesn't matter. Depending on what you have experienced up to the point, what you've experienced in your life, up to the point of that trauma, is how you deal with the trauma. Because you've only got the you've only got the coping skills that your life has given you. So if you've experienced traumas from a young age, then your coping skills are maladaptive. Maladaptive. And if you don't know to check yourself, if you don't know that you have stuff to work on, then you can't change the coping skills. I still don't know how to change my coping skills. I just keep banging my head against the same wall. The wall looks different, but it's the same wall. It's just been painted. So the kids these days are doing their own interventions. They're smart. Kids are smart. That's what we pride them on. So, well, they're stupid and they're smart. So I don't understand why this is being made out to be such, it's being demonized. Ha! Which is, that leads into our next portion of the video. But this is something that I can't wrap my head around. The troubling TikTok trend. It's troubling because it needs to be addressed. Adults need to address it. Kids need to address it. The sooner we address the trauma, the better we adapt. It's that simple. And if kids are knowing enough to put up their hands and say, I need help, then it needs an adult that's able to recognize that. We need to have insight, not just foresight. We have to be able to look into ourselves to see that that kid needs help. And what do you do to get that kid help? And I know it isn't perfect. I know that schools can only do so much. I know that parents can only do so much. I lived that. But we have to do everything we can. And if that just means making videos and talking about it so that more people get outraged about it, then so be it. Do I think that we need to be self-diagnosing? No. But you can certainly look at a set of indicators, sort of highline markers, and you can lay that upon yourself. I heard the analogy of the horoscope diagnosis. So you sort of read into a constellation of symptoms and then, of course, become convinced that you have that. Well, that isn't necessarily the case, of course, but what it needs is for medical professionals to understand that whether they like it or not, that is how people learn. That is how they even become aware of issues in the world or issues that might be within themselves. So doctors need to stop tisking, rolling their eyes, and judging their patients when they come into them and say, hey, look, I read about blah and blah, and I'm really concerned because I feel like I fit into that category. It then takes that medical professional the wisdom and the compassion to say, okay, I understand that you might be feeling this way. Let's look into it. It doesn't need an eye roll, even though I am the king of an eye roll. Anyway, that's when I realized that I'd find my filter was broken because I just would eye roll at my mother and people I shouldn't eye roll at openly. But it requires doctors to have wisdom, compassion, insight, no ego. Good God, people, how hard is this to understand? How hard is it to comprehend? But what we don't need is judgment and skepticism and troubling TikTok trends, because the troubling TikTok trend is the fact that kids are smartening up faster than their parents to understand that, you know what, I'm not all right. And you know what, that is all right. Okay, I'm gonna take a breath and reset myself and then get into the main portion of today's video spectacular.